Instagram is no longer a place to dump random pictures. In today's world, IG is your digital business card. The way you show up virtually determines the kind of opportunities, influence, and women you attract. So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how to create high status Instagram photos that make people stop scrolling, pay attention, and see you as a man of value. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, obviously, I'm an online dating coach, right? And when it comes to online, it's divided into two categories when it comes to dating, Instagram and dating apps. But what most guys don't know is that there's actually a difference between dating app pictures and Instagram pictures. And truth be told, even just a few years ago, I wasn't even fully aware of the difference, but let's go ahead and break down what that actual difference is right now. So with dating app pictures, remember, we are selling ourselves as an individual. It is a marketing campaign for us. So with that being said, dating app pictures tend to be more portrait based, meaning not a lot of context of the background, usually shot with a high focal length lens, like a 50mm or even an 85mm. So it's very, very up close. Also, we want to show high sex appeal and maybe a sprinkle of high status if we have some of those elements towards us. So for example, nice car, nice environment, the things you're wearing, stuff like that. However, with Instagram is more about showcasing your life in a candid and high status way with a sprinkle of maybe some portrait pictures thrown in the mix. So when it comes to the Instagram picture, think of it more so like a movie trailer of your life. In fact, your whole entire Instagram should be catered and based around that, a movie trailer of your life. So remember, the difference between dating app pictures is portrait versus Instagram. It should be more candid and higher status. Now keep in mind, there can be a crossover between both. There's a bit of nuance there, but for the most part, just keep that in mind. Now, Austin, why do we even care about high status pictures or leveraging our Instagram in a more higher status way? Well, when it comes to status, us as humans are status driven creatures. We actually perceive people who have higher status to have more influence, and more influence means more access, better networking, and of course, more dating options. Not only that, but it's going to build more attraction and curiosity if you are using dating apps whenever you transfer a woman to the middle of the funnel or your Instagram page, because usually those pictures would be a little bit different. And so with that being said, I have seen countless of times in which I met a woman on the street, party, dating app, doesn't matter. She comes to my IG. Not only does she see the social proof, which helps with status, but also the way I present myself, which once again, it builds more of that curiosity factor within her. And let's be real, sometimes Instagram is a dating app in itself alongside with that digital business card we just talked about. So what actually makes a high status picture? Well, I've pretty much analyzed over 50 Instagram accounts, some of which you guys may follow. I've done this myself for years and years now. And let's start off with the first point, and that is it has to be somewhat effortless and mysterious. Now, when it comes to being effortless, basically we don't want to look like we're trying hard or that we went out and did a photo shoot. Once again, that is okay with dating app pictures, but for Instagram, effortless is attractive and thrown in with a little bit of mystery. And so the first way that you can easily have an effortless sort of picture is, once again, showcase more authenticity through candidness. Candidness meaning it looked like you were living your life and somebody just captured you in the moment. It's almost like this paparazzi factor that the picture should display or have. It's not that we're posing, we're smiling, it's none of that goofy stuff. We're kind of just in motion, we're moving, we're looking away from the camera, we're not looking directly at the camera. This showcases, once again, more authenticity, and it makes everything look very, very easy. Now, to make this even clearer, when you watch a movie, what do actors and actresses do? They focus on the scene, they interact with their co-stars, whatever, but they don't turn and look at the camera. That's called breaking the third wall. And in fact, the only person who does do this is Deadpool himself, and he does it for a comedic effect. But it's almost as if the camera isn't there. That's exactly how we should approach most of our IG pictures. I'm not saying that you can't sometimes look in the camera, that's fine, but if we want to leverage ourselves higher status, the full max capability, then Candid is the way to go. Now, an easy way to show more mystery is do something called the darker aesthetic. So the darker aesthetic kind of has this like intrigue, mystique behind it. On the vice versa, something that's very bright, colorful, a lot of saturation, it looks nice, but it doesn't have that mysterious element to it. So the darker aesthetic is very easy to do. All you have to do is whenever you take the picture, just take it with slightly lower exposure than usual. Now, if you didn't do that, you can also just go into Lightroom, use some sort of preset, or just even edit the shadows of the photo to be a little bit lower than usual. This is going to give more of that darker aesthetic tone, that kind of mysterious sort of higher status look. I find it being a trend right now too, and it definitely helps out in terms of the perception of the image. Now, Another way you can showcase effortless and mystery is, once again, movement and motion. So most guys do, they're gonna pose stiffly or like look in the camera, just pose very stiffly. However, whenever you have some degree of movement, motion, even sometimes motion blur in a picture, this showcases more authenticity. Easy way you can do this is more walking shots, grabbing something and having a little bit of motion blur. Don't be afraid to showcase yourself more so in motion. It gives off way more of a higher status sort of look. Now, like I said before, whenever you actually implement this, it's gonna position you in a more attractive way, and you're gonna notice doors open in terms of networking, in terms of women coming to your Instagram or even coming from dating apps, and just overall building attraction and curiosity. And in fact, within the Romeo effect, we don't only teach how to integrate dating apps, but we actually have a full Instagram funnel system that will teach you exactly how to position your IG in the right way so that you actually start getting more attractive women on IG, but actually converting those matches from dating apps into dates. Once again, this is called the Romeo effect. It's my full system on how you can leverage your full presentation online to get better results out of dating and just overall out of life. I created a free presentation for you down below showing exactly how this works in full. So click the link down below this video to see exactly how you can implement this starting today. Now, high status element number 2 is called composition and clarity. So when it comes to composition, this is essentially how the photo is taken. Usually most photographers understand composition, but unfortunately the average person doesn't understand composition whatsoever. So I'm gonna keep it very, very simple for you. When it comes to how you take the picture, you wanna focus on 3 simple things. Number 1 is gonna be centered, meaning that the subject is centered within the frame. And then from there, the surrounding environment sort of encapsulates the subject that is centered in frame. Number 2 is gonna be rule of thirds. Rule of thirds means that the subject or yourself is placed in either the right or the left third of the picture. You can actually even crop centered pictures to be more in the rule of thirds, which I've done a countless of times. And just overall, it makes the photo more pleasing to the eye. Because when you compare yourself to the average person who's trying to take these Instagram pictures, once again, they don't understand composition whatsoever. And it's these little photography rules that can really make you stand out. Now, the third composition rule is called symmetry. It's sort of similar to being centered. However, with symmetry, you're centered, but you're centered purposely because that means that either right or left side of you is congruent and matching. So think of you on a bridge. Instead of you being placed on the rule of thirds, you will place yourself centered on that bridge, and then you will have symmetry between the right and left side, giving a more pleasing effect to the eye. You can only do this in some instances if there is actually symmetry in real life in which you're taking the picture. So bridges, staircases, anything of that nature, you can definitely utilize symmetry. Now, also when it comes to composition, there's a photo style in which you need to pretty much prioritize when it comes to Instagram, and that is called the scenic portrait. So once again, a normal portrait is better for dating apps. It's very cropped up close. To be honest, I used to post a lot of my IG, which is purely portraits of myself. But recently I've been transferring to more of a scenic portrait, meaning that it's still a photo of myself. However, it is shot at a wider focal length. So think of like anywhere between 24 to 35 millimeters, in which you're now encapsulating the scene around you to more so tell a story. That's what a lot of Instagram is too, is storytelling. And so if you can post one picture that tells a story about what you're doing, where you're at, and the scene ties into you as an individual, it makes it that much more better. So for example, let's say you're at a restaurant. Instead of taking a night flash photo that's very up close to you and you really can't get context of the background, you would shoot at a wider focal length to more so encapsulate the environment around you, with you being placed in either the center or the rule of thirds of the picture. This is especially good if you're doing any sort of traveling or you're at any sort of high status or exotic locations. Now, moving further into composition and clarity, when I say clarity, all that really means is quality. All your pictures should be ideally in decent lighting, good quality. Hopefully that goes without saying. Now, moving on, there is something known as points of leverage that I created. I've heard nobody else talk about this. And when it comes to high status pictures, we need at least 2 status-driven points of leverage. The 2 points of leverage that show the most status is number 1 going to be scarce resources. Scarce resources meaning things that are hard to access for the normal everyday person. This can be a nice car. This can be a very nice high status environment. This can be nice exclusive jewelry or clothes. Point is, it's scarce. So whenever you show that, people actually take notice and they know, and it immediately positions you as higher status. Now, obviously with scarce resources, you cannot fake this. A lot lot of Instagram is curated, it's fake, but you cannot fake scarce resources. So if you are showing scarce resources, that shows that you are in fact a high value or higher status individual, with the exception of taking pictures of cars that aren't yours and whatnot, which I have seen people do, but you're not gonna be doing that all the time, right? For example, I just got an Aston Martin. I've been taking more and more pictures with the Aston Martin, inside the car, outside the car, because I know subconsciously I can leverage the scarce resources point of leverage to more so showcase a higher status look. And that's exactly, to some degree, why I got the car in the first place. Now, number 2 is gonna be lifestyle and environment in terms of our status driven leverage. Lifestyle environment means you doing fun things that aren't normal. Going to exotic locations, going on a hike in Hawaii, on a yacht, on a private jet. I've worked with clients who have actually done private jet shots. Basically, you're showing that you have a fun, exciting lifestyle and you're leveraging the environment around that. And once again, this is gonna be mostly done within a scenic portrait context. Now, the last status-driven point of leverage is pre-selection. Now, the issue with pre-selection is that a lot of guys think that, oh, showcasing yourself with a lot of women is gonna get other women more interested in you. But after working with a lot of guys who have done that, I have personally found that it actually backfires. So there's a way to go about pre-selection in the right way, and I call it evidence versus proof. And I was actually speaking to this with a client who actually sort of formulated this idea through his thoughts, because he used to do a lot of the pre-selection stuff looking like he was a club promoter. But instead, what we found is that whenever you show evidence of pre-selection, and if you don't know what pre-selection is, this means showcasing women in the photo. So whenever you show evidence versus proof, that hits harder than overtly showing yourself with lots of women. So what's an example of evidence? Evidence is subtle signs that you might be with a woman, or subtle signs that a woman in the picture might be interested in you or attracted to you, but you really don't know. So for example, I took a picture when I was at a rooftop pool. You see a woman's hand in the picture holding a drink. Boom, that is pre-selection showing evidence, not proof. Let's say another one is you walking and then an attractive woman is beside you, kind of walking beside you, but you guys aren't holding hands. She's not hugged up, kissing you, nothing like that. That is evidence, not proof. Proof pre-selection will backfire, and it's actually a turnoff for a lot of women. Unless she's young, wants to party, and you can get her access to a table, we actually want to avoid pre-selection that shows too much proof. You want to show just signs of evidence. Now, as I stated before, Instagram is really all about telling a story through those high status pictures, and you can also do this through carousels. So you can actually combine all these elements of what I'm talking about into carousels so that you can show different sides of yourself and tell more of a complete story. So first picture can be more of a scenic portrait. Second picture can show maybe some subtle evidence of pre-selection. Third picture can just purely be the environment, not you in it, so on and so forth. You can do this in multiple different ways in different fashions. And once again, we'll show you exactly how to do this implementing the Romeo effect, in which not only will you build a more higher status Instagram account, but you'll completely transform your looks, you'll completely transform your style so that you actually start attracting more higher interest women who actually show up to the date. Once again, we do this by using the Romeo effect, battle tested over the past 5 years. And I'll show you exactly how this works. Just click the link down below this video right now, watch the presentation I made for you, and you will see how this can completely change your dating life for the better. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.